Hello, I'm Elif and this is a recap for episode 41 of the series One Love, 24 hours after Turkey and before dubbed for TV. Omar is still shocked to see Baki and asks him, "Is this real?" Baki says, "See, I've come forward." Omar asks him where he has been during this time, and Baki explains. "I was forced to marry Laman. I was in love with another woman. When that accident happened, I decided to escape." Omar says, "We thought you were a man. We suffered so much. You destroyed my life." Baki says, "I know, I came to help you." Omar tells him, "Now it's your turn to endure the pain of losing a brother." Baki says he will stay by Omar's side but with one condition: no one should find out that he's alive. Nusama's condition worsens, and Omid immediately takes her to the hospital. However, the government hospital is crowded, and Nusama doesn't get a turn. Omid takes her to a private hospital. That night, Fatih calls Nusama to check on her and learns she's in the hospital. He immediately gets ready to visit her. Doa is upset when she sees Fatih leaving but tries not to show it. The next day, Nilay discovers that her son has jaundice, and everyone is alarmed. Panbeh takes advantage of the situation and claims it happened because they circumcised him too early. Doa gets frustrated and tries to calm down Mustafa and Nilay. Mustafa, feeling distressed, says to Fatih, "What if my child turns out like me? I don't want people to make fun of him." Fatih replies, "Who cares, brother? Those who make fun are bad people. Instead of worrying about this, pray that he won't face bad people." Kızılcık goes to the house with food packages and charcoal for the girl who asked for help. When Nazli's mother goes to the kitchen, she tells Nazli that tomorrow at 12, a car will be waiting for her to take her to the studio. Omar, at the company, asks Abdullah about Baki and the woman he loved. Abdullah says the woman's name was Suda, but Baki was forced to marry Laman by their father. Abdullah becomes annoyed with Omar's curiosity and says that the past is in the past, and thinking about it is meaningless. The next day, Fatih goes to see Nusama again and takes advantage of Omid's absence to talk to her sister about his life's situation. He suggests Omid should return to the company. Nusama refuses and says she won't allow her husband to be humiliated. Fatih gives Nusama an envelope of money, but she says, "Is my life supposed to pass by borrowing from others? Do you know how upset Omid would be if he finds out?" She refuses to take the money and thanks Fatih. Mary and Chayman have gone out together, and Metahon wants to join them. Mary hesitates due to her father's opposition but doesn't say anything. When Metahon arrives, he doesn't hug Mary, surprising Chayman. Metahon says, "Mary doesn't hug men, she doesn't give her hand." Mary is happy that Metahon knows this and asks if her mother wears a hijab, to which Metahon responds positively. Doa tells Fatih at night that she has something to do and goes out. Fatih indifferently says, "It's okay." Doa, feeling uneasy, asks, "Really?" Fatih says, "It used to matter before because you were my wife, and I loved you a lot. But now, you can do whatever you want." At night, Mary hesitantly follows Metahon with embarrassment. Ertuğrul asks Mary about her day, and Mary doesn't say anything about seeing Metahon. Kızılcık visits Nusama and, seeing the poor condition of the house and electric heaters, realizes Omid's financial difficulties. She informs her mother about it. Sanam says that Omid needs to set aside his pride and work at his company. At night, Ruzgar and Alev spend time together at home when Helen arrives. After mocking and making sarcastic comments, she shows a sonogram picture of her child and leaves. After Helen leaves, Ruzgar calmly says, "She's either lying or I'm not the father of the child. I'm 1000% sure." When the electricity bill reaches Sanam's, she is shocked by the large amount. The building caretaker, after investigation, informs Sanams that Omid has connected their house's electricity to his own unit. Everyone is shocked. Sanams tells Alev to talk to Omid as soon as possible and resolve this issue. Ruzgar goes to the studio to see Helen and asks her about the father of her child. Helen angrily responds, "What do you mean? You're the father." Ruzgar says, "I can't have children. I had a vasectomy after Zinab." Helen says, "You're lying," and Ruzgar shows his medical documents, then kicks Helen out. Nusama's sweet-talking friend from America, who is a debt collector, comes to the Onal house. Nusama and Panbeh warmly welcome her, but Doa remains indifferent to her words, not liking her advice. When the friend leaves, she pauses for a moment and tells Panbeh, "There's a big change coming. Pray a lot." Nazli leaves the house under the pretext of something and, upon seeing the studio's car, gets in. While her father is looking for her, she drives away, crying. In a live broadcast, Nazli talks about her situation, and simultaneously, Ruzgar talks to her father at Nazli's house, asking him not to hinder his daughter's education. Shortly after, Kızılcık informs Nazli about Ertuğrul paying for her education, making her happy. Eventually, her father agrees, and he allows his daughter to continue her studies. Olev meets Abdullah in a restaurant and talks to him about the conditions of Omid and Nusama. Abdullah says they asked him not to interfere, and until they ask for help, he won't do anything. Abdullah adds, poverty conquers love. Olev sarcastically replies, so does fear. Abdullah thinks for a while and says, Olev, don't get married. There's someone else in your heart. Olev says, there was a time like that, but I learned not to like scared people. Shortly after, Mustafa enters the restaurant and is surprised to see his father and Olev together. Kahan takes Laman's gold to invest in the stock market but loses all the money and gets angry. That night, when Omar and Bakir watch Kızılcık's program, Bakir asks, isn't Ertuğrul your rival? You abandoned Kızılcık, and Ertuğrul opened his arms to her. It's the result of your wrong decision. Omar gets angry, and Bakir says, tell the truth to Kızılcık before it's too late. At night, Mustafa tells Nilay that he saw his father with Olev, and Nilay, excited, says, if they aren't married, then I'm not Nilay. I won't let my mom get hurt. She decides to confront Olev, sending a message to Abdullah from her phone, expressing her love and arranging to meet. At night, Sanams talks to Omid about the electricity issue. Omid apologizes, saying, I can't believe it. It's not the way you think. Sanams tells him, I know it must be a mistake. I want to tell you something else. Life can't be sustained with promises and debts. Maybe you liked working with Olev, but if you can't handle the expenses, you should look for another job. When Omid returns home, he apologizes to Nusama for the situation he has created. At night, Fatih regains his senses, leaves the house, and this time, Doa, who is very angry, follows him. Fatih goes to a room in a hotel, and Doa enters, saying, you can find me at home, and you're having a good time here. Fatih says, what should I do? Mourn, and asks Doa to leave because he's waiting for someone. At that moment, someone knocks on the door, and Hayat is behind the door, saying that Fatih asked her to bring Cemre. Doa is shocked. Fatih talks to Doa again and says, Doa, enough. Let go of the hatred. We've hurt each other and reached a balance. He takes Doa's hand, but Doa stands up and says, it's impossible. I don't trust you at all. The next day, Olev gets ready, and on the other hand, Mustafa goes to the meeting place of Olev and her father to surprise Olev. However, there, he faces her father. Abdullah says, are you looking for Mrs. Olev? Thank you for watching, stay tuned for the next episode.